So we're going to get started. Hi, everyone. The Undergraduate Research Association. We're a fairly new organization on campus, and the purpose of this meeting is to get some perspectives from faculty members about what faculty are looking for research mentees. A lot of times that when you work in research, you work in a lab, you work under your mentor. And so this kind of gives you a really insightful perspective to what those mentors are looking for directly. So if you haven't already signed in, please do so with our QR code. Yep. To introduce our speakers, we have Dr. Sarah Taylor. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Sarah Taylor. I'm an assistant professor in Child Development and Family Studies in the Department of Family and Consumer Sciences.
As maybe your research interests as well, just your what field you work in and then your research interests.
Perfect. So I'm a family scientist. I study family and relationship well-being. I do a lot of work around sex and relationship health and education, service provision to support healthy relationships.
Thank you. And then next we have Dr. Siavash.
Hello, I'm Siavash. My lab is I'm an assistant professor in biomedical engineering, but my lab is at the intersection of biology and engineering more so than human health. So we make instruments, tools, approaches to study like fundamental biological
function. And Dr. Virginia Gray.
Hi everybody, I'm Virginia Gray and I'm faculty in nutrition and dietetics is my area. I develop and implement and evaluate nutrition programming in community settings, and most recently my work's focused on college students who are experiencing food insecurity. So I lead the California Healthy Living Grant on our campus and have students working in that role.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for having us. Of course. So to start off with our first question, we want to know what general advice you have for students who are trying to get involved in research on campus. And we'll start with Dr. Siavash, and then we'll kind of go the opposite way.
Sounds good. So maybe I'm the least experienced. I don't know why. I mean, so I think any research is better than no research. But also it's kind of like having this mindset. Right now I have a lot of folks who show up to my office asking for research. And then when I ask like why you're interested in working with us, they're not very good answers or like they haven't thought it through. So I typically ask folks to tell me what are their short-term and long-term goals are. That is a bit vague. By short-term, I mean like in the context of like college. By long-term, I mean kind of like, let's suppose it's 5 years from now. What does this research bought for you enabled you to be where you want to be? So I kind of want to be goal driven, but I find that a lot of times people try to tell me, like reverse engineer that to tell me what I think their goals should be, which doesn't help. But I think it's awesome. It's really good to be involved in research, whichever flavor or whatever approach.
Thank you. I guess to follow up with that, are there any specific resources on campus or within your field that you recommend for students to utilize to find research opportunities?
Sure. So I think most folks in like BME have, and also engineering, have very good lab websites that sometimes are hard to find, but at least mine is at the bottom of my email signature. I think Build is a very good place or Build and broader umbrella community of. I don't know all of them actually, but I think they're a very good resource. They're very well aligned with things that I wish for, like, folks in my lab to learn and, grow and be. And more specifically, I think like disciplinary, I really like being an engineer. It works very well for me. I like being an engineer that knows enough biology. But I think we should not limit ourselves to like the silos of our disciplines, because that's just not helpful to you, right? Like, so that's my, like, I guess my strong opinion. That's like, it's good to talk with people who are not your major.
Okay. Yeah. And that kind of follows up into my next question is, within your field, how important is networking to find research opportunities?
Yeah, it is really important, but it's kind of hard. I think, well, I don't know. I suppose that from an undergraduate position, it's not easy, right? So I think going to office hours to talk about problem sets, valuable, but going to office hours to talk about ideas, more valuable, right? Um, and also like being engaged with groups on campus, like various clubs, or societies, that's really helpful. Showing up to kind of these events that other peers are presenting their work, I think it's really valuable. Bill does a very good job of it. But typically no one besides Build students show up, which is kind of surprising. Like in engineering, we have an expo day coming up, which is seniors will present all of the work that they've done for their capstone project. They have to finish a project. And it's not per se research, but it's very aligned with research goals. Like my lab sponsors are actually 3 projects. And it's open to everyone, but I feel like that folks from different sides of campus never hear about it.
Yeah.
So, which is a problem. But I think just trying to find out what's happening is really helpful. Also, there's like other REUs and other research positions available off campus. Most of them are, sponsored for some. It's not easy with the place that is not necessarily your home. But I think it's good to try and secure.
That's very insightful. Thank you. And one thing about URA that we're trying to kind of minimize is how different majors, they have such difference in exposure to research. Some majors you learn about research from a class that you're required to take, or a lot of your teachers are encouraging you to join a lab. And then with other fields, you really don't learn about it at all unless you take that action to try and find those research opportunities. So that's why it's also really valuable that we're getting different perspectives in this sense, because it really varies for whatever major that you're in. To take it to you, Dr. Taylor, what general advice do you have for students within your field trying to get involved in research?
Yeah, I would say try and connect with your professors as much as possible. So we mentioned going to office hours, but even staying after class, even for a couple minutes, maybe you read an article that you found really interesting and you just want to like connect with them, pick their brain for a couple minutes after class. I think building that connection, like finding little ways to build that connection with your faculty can be really beneficial. And it can be scary. I recognize it can be scary doing that, but trying to connect with them as much as possible. Even so, there are a lot of paid research opportunities on campus, URA, Build, but if maybe that isn't something you're able to do or you have to pay for, I'm big on making sure people get paid for the work they do, but maybe you just want to start out asking your professors if they need a research volunteer, even if it's just an hour or 2 a week, like helping with a literature review. Then maybe if they have funding opportunities that come up, you might be the first person they think of to offer that position